if I grab one of the engineers across the street and ask him like, hey, how do you, integrate people's health records into like a technical product? For them, the answer is, I don't know.
Because here's the problem that I see in dental right
Mm-hmm.
now. And then again,
Mm-hmm.
this is just from my perspective, which is a very small piece of the
Yep.
pie, is like,
Yep.
so we build this app, we can track all of this marketing data. That's great, right? But then
Mm-hmm.
there's like 400 other dashboards that you need to run your dental practice, right? So you need recare, you need financial, and each of those have multiple parts within them, right?
Yep.
Then you have all the business management side of things. So by the time you're done, you have
Mm-hmm.
dozens of dashboards that people need to log into. And so somehow those have to come together. So do you
Mm-hmm.
see what you guys are doing? Do you see that starting to piece together in certain parts?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think, ultimately the way that we look at our company is that, we're basically an integrations company. Most of our engineering bandwidth, and most of the money that we raised was actually to go out and hire more engineers. But most of the effort that we do, goes into the integrations that we do, right? Which and part of the way that to really look at it is that we're just connecting different systems, right? We're connecting, um, like let's say Open Dental to Swell, and then like Dentrix to our own SaaS product, so on and
Mm-hmm.
so forth, right? So eventually, we do see ourselves becoming a company where we're just moving data from point A to point B, and connecting all these disparate systems, so that for someone like when you're building this unified dashboard, it turns into a couple of clicks instead of months and months of just
Yeah.
development work. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think so dental's been slow, right? On the technology side.
Hmm.
What do you think the reasons that has happened? Why is dental a little bit behind on the curve of being able to make things like this work?
Yeah, I think fundamentally, it's it's the lack of ability for the people that make the products, engineers, right? Um, it's the lack of ability for them to build products quickly. I'll give you an example, right? If I'm an entrepreneur, or if I'm a founder or an engineer, and I want to start my own company in the dental space, right? And in order for my product to work, I need to figure out a way to integrate, people's dental records, or the doctors, patient records that they have at the office with my product, right? If you go and ask an average, Silicon Valley engineer today, right, where majority of the innovation happens, hey, how do you, integrate people's health records or people's dental records with your product? For them, the answer is, I don't know. Like, no one knows. Like, literally, no one in Silicon Valley. Like, I'm in our San Francisco office today. If I grab one of the engineers across the street and ask him like, hey, how do you, integrate people's health records into like a technical product? For them, the answer is, I don't know. But anything else in the world, right? Like, how do you, for example, integrate text messaging? How do you, integrate
Health. What about like other health records? So like, what if it was like radiology or something like that?
Yeah, it's the same problem, just overall in the healthcare industry, actually.
Yeah.
But my point is, like, like these sorts of questions, they're already answered in other industries.
Mm,
Like in any other industry you look at, finance, right? Like, hey, how do I integrate someone's bank account
mm,
with my
yeah.
product? All these tools and all these answers already exist. But on the other hand, in the healthcare space and the dental space, those answers don't exist yet. Which means, for any entrepreneur, or any engineer, or really anyone to like build any sort of product in our space, it's usually fairly confusing. It's not easy. It's slow. They don't know how to get started and all those things, right? Which means, overall, you just have a lack of innovation in the space. And, if engineers and entrepreneurs can't build products, that means, doctors don't have access to the modern tools that every other industry has in the world, which then,
Yeah.
translates into, you and me as a patient also not having access to the tools that we need to like, manage our dental care or manage our healthcare, right? So that's
Yeah.
really it, right? Like, there hasn't been a company yet until NexHealth that sort of came in and said, hey, we're going to build products, and we're going to figure out a way to get other startups, other tech companies like Swell and Quip and Smile Direct Club, right? We're going to make it really, really seamless and easy for them to integrate patient records and people's health records with their products, so they can go in and build their products more quickly and serve the market.